What's up, guys, and welcome to the Left to Right podcast. I'm here with my good friend Justin Seymour. I am Honza and today we want to talk to you guys about winners' mindsets and like what separates, uh, great players from good players. What separates good players from bad players. What kind of mentality you need to have to be at the top, to be at the top of your game.
So many different facets to that. And when people think about mental game, they just kind of think it's about like just maybe one or two things, like oh, it's just confidence, or oh, it's just attitude. No, there's like five or six different things, and there's really kind of a game inside of a game. Like it's the same thing as golf. Like when you're playing golf, you've got your driving, you've got your irons, you've got your chipping, you've got your putting. Those are all four relatively different things that you have to do, right? They're very different. It's the same thing as golf. You've got your confidence, you've got your acceptance, you've got a whole bunch of different with mindset. So many different little subsets and things you have to pay attention to.
What do you see when so you coach players at all different sort of levels, right? What would you say is like the main difference you see from the tour level guys to like the people that are around scratch? That seems to be like the question I hear kind of most often is like how far are the scratch guys away from the tour guys? Because people look at scratch and they're like, hey, like zero handicap, like that's really good. That guy can ball, but like I feel like that's still light years away from like tour players. And like what do you see personally that like separates that caliber of player from the guys at the top?
100%. So I think that's a good question. I think first off, I don't think that it is mentality that separates a scratch from a +7. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like I don't think that is the biggest factor. I mean, it could be one factor, but I really don't think that there's many people who are going to lower their handicap by 6 or 7 shots around just from mentality, right? I do
Okay.
think sometimes it's overstated. I think how much of an impact it has. That being said, I do think it's obviously very important, right? I think that honestly, it's one of those things where, especially in competition, like it separates like the good and then like the great. Like there's a lot of tour players out there that you would look at them and you'd say, well, they don't have the best mental game. And those are not the ones that are winning majors every single year, like a Scotty Scheffler, like Tiger Woods. Like those guys do, right? And it's the guys who are the best of the best do. But oftentimes I've heard even some very some very notable people say that tour players usually don't have all that great of a mental game. Usually it's the ones who really separate themselves that do. But I mean, the other thing is that there's different aspects. So there's a lot of tour players. Think about the guys you'll see on TV who they'll hit a bad shot and they'll just be cussing and they'll be losing it, right? And that
Yeah.
happens. Like people act like it doesn't happen, but it does. Like you'll see guys, like you'll see even videos of Tiger, and he would be very upset in the moment, right? And a lot of people would say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," and that's right. You shouldn't do that, right? But at the same time, we're all human, right? So why is that guy still good? Well, when he gets upset, he gets upset for 10 seconds and then it's gone. And
Mhm.
a lot of people, they get upset and then it keeps carrying over into the next shot and they're just upset and it keeps. So I think that's part of it. It's kind of a long way to answer your question. Is I think acceptance is a lot of it. I think that being able to accept the outcome and understanding that you could be upset for a second and be like, man, that really sucks that didn't go my way. But then you got to accept it and move on to the next shot. And I think that a lot of people, they get into trouble when they get upset and then they're still thinking about it a whole or two later.
It's kind of this like pattern, right? Like it's how you react. The best of the best seem to bounce back from like the negative faster. You know, I hit a bad shot, you get upset, you slam your club. Uh, but also like take it one step outside of that, and it's like, oh, you had a bad hole, and take it one step outside of that, you had a bad tournament, and then maybe you had a bad week, 2 weeks, month, season, and it's like not letting like those things like hold you back, you know, and sort of like looking at it and still, I think the persistence is a really big thing. of like being able to bounce back from like setbacks.
I think that the guys who are the best, and even most tour players are this way too. This is one thing that you'll see most really high level golfers are good at, is they're good at evaluating themselves and figuring out what's working and what's not. Like if you just have a bad tournament, a lot of guys who, like you said, are scratch or like maybe not as good as they should be, they just think, oh, I'm just hitting it bad. It's okay. Like, what
Mhm.
does that really mean? Like you got to really analyze it. You got to really break down what's going on, because if you don't have an idea of exactly what's going on, then it's hard to fix, and it's you can just get yourself more upset because you're just upset with the outcome. Well, it's like, well, why is that outcome happening? You got to kind of dive into that a little bit further. You've got to
Mhm.
kind of evaluate yourself, and that's why stats tracking is important, right? Because you can use that as a tool to help you, right? But I think that being able to evaluate your own skill is is something that's important for sure. And there's something interesting about that too. Is some people are like, I always think of like confidence and acceptance are two very distinct things, and they're two things that you'll see players on different spectrums, and everyone's a little different. So it's like I've got one of my juniors. His confidence is super super high. Like he always thinks like he'll come to me. He'll say, "I'm gonna shoot 600 a day." I've never seen him like, you know what I mean. I've never seen him break 70, and he says that and he believes it. I really do think he believes that. But the problem is he has very high confidence and very low acceptance. So
Mhm.
his expectation is I'm going to shoot 600. I think I'm going to shoot 600. He believes it. But if his acceptance is low, then he can't accept a bad outcome, because if he doesn't shoot 600, he's going to be pissed and he's going to be like, he can't
Uh-huh.
accept the outcome. So the problem is he has such a now there's the opposite scale. Is there's some guys who have very low confidence and very high acceptance, right? They would be somebody you'd think, oh, he's even keel, he doesn't lose his temper, but they just kind of think like they almost kind of expect to do poorly, right? And that's not good either, right? And you'll see a lot of
Yeah.
people, like a lot of bad golfers are like that, right? Or they'll even the worst combo would be low confidence, low acceptance, right? Because
Yeah.
you think that everything is terrible and you don't accept any other outcomes, right? And that's a
Yeah.
terrible way to be either, right? And it's I think that understanding that like where would you think like Tiger Woods was? He was very high confidence, right? Like he thought he
Mhm.
was going to win everything. There was that one video. Was it Crenshaw? It wasn't Crenshaw. Who was it? Was it Strange? Curtis Strange? When he did that video when he first got on tour and he said like they said, "What do you think would be a good
Oh,
finish?"
yeah,
Yeah,
that
he's
interview.
Curtis
Yeah, yeah,
Strange. He said like, I think I want to win. Or I think I'm going to win. And then he said like, "You'll
yeah,
learn."
yeah, yeah,
Ended up being like that's Tigers. He thought he was going to win everything, right? And
yeah.
he believed it, I'm sure. And his acceptance was not like the highest, but it was still pretty high. Like he would get upset at the outcome. Like you could if you watch old videos of Tiger, like I was watching some old videos on YouTube of like the 2008 U.S. Open, like he would get pissed. Like he hit a bad shot, he'd be go, "Ha, Tiger," and he'd be like slamming stuff. But I think he used 3-step rule. I think this is a Tiger thing. Is as soon as you took 3 steps away, it was over, and he forgot about it. So
Yeah.
that would be a way that you just accept it, right? So he was still very high on those things, right? He wasn't like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, you brought up a lot of cool points. Like the I think the stats tracking is really helpful because then you can sort of like know what to accept, if that makes sense. Because you like
Yeah,
know like if you know what your dispersion is, then you know where to sort of expect shots to be, and then it's much easier to accept them, if you're like already like sort of expecting X to be your dispersion.
yeah. Well, I have a point on that, the stats part. Like, I think that that's probably the most important thing, is what you just said there. Is the way to get acceptance is to understand what are your possible outcomes. And honestly, there for a lot of players, they're a lot worse than you think, right? Like a lot of people think that they're going to hit every single fairway, and that's good if you have that confidence. But if you don't accept a missed fairway, if you start getting upset when you miss a fairway, then that gets in your subconscious and you start losing it, right? So if you look at that's the same thing with like proximity. Like I was with the one of my juniors, and he'll hit it to 12 feet, 15 feet from 120 yards, and he'll be slamming, it's a terrible shot. And I'm like, dude, like, if you look at PGA Tour average, like proximity, Like I'm like how do you think you are from that distance? Like how do you think that shot was? If I told you that was like above average from tour, like just because it's not a kick in birdie, that doesn't mean that it's a bad shot. And once you kind of really understand that, then it's a lot easier to accept it because you think to yourself, okay, well that shot didn't go exactly how I wanted it to go. But the next thing is it really that bad? That's the question you ask yourself. And then it's once you realize it's not that bad, it's a lot easier to accept it, right? Like that's the other thing I talk about with my juniors. If you ever watch PGA Tour, like you'll see guys hit in the water. Like it happens. They'll hit the ball in the water. Like Rory in the Masters, he hit it in the water from 70 yards and when he had the lead. But this is the video I showed my juniors. I said, hey, like if you watch him and hit that shot, like that was the biggest moment of his career. And these are the biggest things to take away from that. That was the biggest moment of his career, probably, right? I mean, he had like I believe it was like a 2-shot lead at that point. Like all he had to do, like this is the easiest shot. Like if you gave him 100 tries to hit the ball on the green there, like he would get pretty much every single one. Maybe a couple miss, right? But one of those couple misses happened, right? So if you watch him in that moment, he gets upset. He's like, ah, he goes like this. He puts his head down, and he's upset about it. Like, and that's normal. I think it's a human reaction to have that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In a perfect world, if we were all robots, you would just go, oh, it is what it is, and just go. But that's the biggest moment of his career, and he just made a huge mistake. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, he's going to have a reaction. But then if you watch him, they actually showed this on the broadcast, which is really cool. Is you watch him walking over the bridge, and he's looking, his head's up, he's just walking. And if you flip to that, you would never know that he just blew the biggest lead of his career. You would never know. Yeah. And that's about 30 seconds afterwards. And being able to understand that and just go, okay, next shot, like that is what makes the best players the best, I think.
That first reaction, you know, the tiger, the slamming the club, whatever. That's like, you can't really control that. You know, that's just like this like human impulse. You're getting it out. You're what we can control is like the reaction to that reaction.
If you're trying to give yourself the best possible chance of succeeding, like winning the golf tournament, if you wanted to do the best, like everything that you could do to optimize your chance of winning the tournament, would being upset about a shot ever be included in that?
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah.
Never, right? There's never any positive outcome to that. Now, maybe saying to yourself, wait a second, I hit a 7-iron here. I hit a great shot. It was short in the water. You can be upset about that, but you can also say to yourself, okay, maybe the wind's a little stronger than I think. Or maybe it's a little bit of a different situation than I thought. And you can learn from it. And learning from it's different than being purely upset, right? Well, that's okay. It's to learn from the situation. But in terms of like a purely like negative emotion on like being upset about a past shot, it's never going to be beneficial to you. Now, the human part of it is probably going to happen most of the time, but it's never a good thing. So you're never doing yourself a favor by thinking about the past and really getting upset about it. Right?
One thing I noticed was I grew up in Minnesota, and my parents coached biathlon, and so there was a lot of like biathletes, professional skiers, shooters, this kind of stuff that would come and like stay at our house. So I got to kind of just like watch them
Pretty cool.
and just like learn from like just be a fly on the wall in that situation and see how they behave, how they act. Some of these people have like gold medals in Olympics. Some of them won World Cups, this kind of stuff. So like really at the top of the game. The thing that I really noticed was these people that do this at such a high level. It's like there is no plan B. You know, it's not like I'm going to try this sport, and if it doesn't work out, I'll do accounting. Like, and I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm just saying I didn't see that. These people were all in about what they were. They're like, if I'm not doing it at the highest level, I'm doing it at the second high. Like I'm doing it. You know, does that make sense? It was like
all like champions or like pretty close.
Not all of them, but some of them were, and they're all either competing at like biathlon's PGA Tour or the biathlon's like Corn Ferry Tour, which would be like it's called like an IBU Cup, which is just like a circuit just beneath. And so you'd see how these guys these guys sort of like live and they just like they're doing it, if that makes sense. Like there's no thought in the back of their head that's like, oh, I'm gonna do, like, let me try this. Like it's just like a full commitment thing, and it's just this sort of persistence thing. It's this like this constant knocking on the door, and then eventually you get your shot. And so I try to like implement this in like the mental side when I'm talking to like students that want to play pro golf, that want to play at the highest level. I'm like, listen, man, like the the people that I saw that were competing at the highest level, like a lot of them were 30 years old, didn't have a family. You know, a lot of them spent Christmases in some foreign country. You know, a lot of like, there's a lot of these like sacrifices uh, that you have to make because you're just like because you're doing the thing. You know, it's not like, oh, I can like sort of do the thing and also do these things. Like these people are like so locked in on what they're doing, and it's like, oh, I didn't make this team, I'll make the next. Like it's not even like oh, I didn't make this team, well, I, it's over. You know, it's just like this constant knocking on the door, constant nonstop persistence that like uh and it really comes as like second nature, it seemed like to a lot of these guys. But that's what I saw is like uh I talked to somebody, he's like, yeah, I want to like try to play pro golf. It's like I think you're already like failing right there. You know, I don't think that's the mindset to go into it with. And that's kind of like mean to say or like tough to say, but like if you're not like willing to sort of like walk through broken glass and discomfort and like give up a lot of things that the people around you are doing, you might be 40 when you make your big break, especially in something like golf. uh like you might be 40 years old, and during that time the people around you are maybe getting degrees, getting married, starting families, starting businesses, being successful in their endeavors. And you have to be like, I'm locked in on this thing, you know? And I'm not saying it's going to take you until you're 40, you know? But I'm saying it's like the level of commitment, it shouldn't matter if it takes you, like, it shouldn't matter to you if it might take you until you're 40. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that was like it was kind of like eye opening, and yeah, that's what I saw. That's what I saw
Yeah.
from those.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you really once you spend a lot of time around like professional golfers, like you realize it's a whole different game. It's a whole different mindset. It's a whole different game than people, like you said, are just, oh, maybe I'll try. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah,
whole different thing. And it's like it's literally like you have to spend like if you worked in accounting, you'd be working 8 hours a day, right? Like you have to
yeah,
spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week on golf. Like
yeah. It's your
it's
profession, right?
it is your profession. Like you got to do it, and a lot of people don't understand that, right? Now, like maybe you'll go play, maybe you'll do like a lot of maybe one day you'll just do short game, one day you'll do putting, one day you'll do, but you really have to like. And that's the other thing too. It's like I spent a lot. Like I'm somebody where I love practicing. Like I'll just like I'll hit balls and I'll look at my phone and I'll be like, "Whoa, it's been 4 hours." Like I had no like you know what I mean. I'm just doing it. I love it. But it's like even at a certain point for me, like I get sick of it. Like if you hit balls for 5 hours, like that's a like if you do that like 4 days in a row for 5 hours, like you're like, all
A
right,
lot. Yeah,
let me play some video games. You know what I mean? Like let me chill a little bit. And it's like imagine doing that every day. Like that's you like this. I think it's interesting how a lot of pros they start to say to them you'll hear them in interviews and say this is a job, this is a job, and like you'll a lot of people will be like I don't understand that, like golf is like so much fun, like I love golfing, like it's
hmm,
it's like my hobby, but it's like this guy's like yeah, like I don't, you'll hear like a lot of good players they'll say I mean like I like golf, but like there's a lot of times where it feels like a job, and it's like it's not like something I want to do all the time. But
Hmm.
like that's the reality of it. Like if you had to do 8 hours a day, like it's grueling, and it's a whole other mindset. Like when you're playing with your buddies and you got $10 in the line, or not even like you see people, they'll get upset when they're playing for nothing. Like imagine if you were playing for your career. Like imagine if literally your career was on the line, like every shot you hit, and like the margin in these tournaments is pretty low. Like you could miss it by like I was out at the course. Matt, we were hanging out with a guy who missed second stage. Or sorry, he missed final stage. He was in second stage. He missed it by one shot, and he's
Dang.
like, yeah, and he was telling me he was like, there was just like one shot he hit that was just like a silly shot, and like he's like that's the difference. And it's like imagine your whole career like hopes and dreams are riding on that one shot, and it's
Yeah.
reality. And it's like that gets so stressful. I'm like I can't imagine what that's like. Like at the same time, like they usually hit the ball pretty well, so it's not like as stressful as like somebody who's like if you were like a 30 handicap and you had to shoot even par, like you'd be pretty
Yeah.
stressed out. Like at the same time, like they're used to being successful, so it's like it's good, but like at the same time, like it wears on you. Like that's the one thing I was thinking. I was like when I was with one of my players at first stage Q school, like on the 18th hole, he was inside the cut line by a shot or two, and like there's out of bounds on both sides, and I'm like, if he hits two out of bounds, like literally he's done for the year, or if he hits one out of bounds, he's done. Like I
Hmm.
mean, it's like you and like, I mean, hopefully his brain wasn't going to that, but like that's the reality. It's like you like one bad swing and you're like that year's done, and it's like that's obviously not the way to think about it, but that's the pressure. Like that is the pressure of it.
For sure. And then it's like, how do they bounce back from that? Like we talked about, if your player missed it by a shot, if he's like, okay, like let's give it another go, let's keep going, like that's. I think Mac O'Grady missed went to Q school 16 times before he made it. I think crazy, right? But that's like the level of like commitment, persistence that you just keep knocking at the door, and eventually somebody's like, okay, and they open it, and then they make it. Uh,
It's
and
so expensive. Did you know how expensive Q school was?
how much is it now?
It's like I think it was like between 3,000 and 5,000 per stage. Isn't that
Wow.
nuts?
4 stages, yeah. Like no, third is the final. Some
There's
people
a
got to do
there's
the pre-qual. Yeah. So you spend like 15 grand, 20 grand on Q school.
if you're a pro golfer, you're making like let's just say you're a mini tour player. Like you're a great player, you haven't made it to Corn Ferry yet. Let's just say you had a solid year and you make like I mean honestly playing mini tours like you're not gonna in the U.S. Like, you're not gonna make more than like probably 30, 40,000 with like the I mean if you win like a big open you will maybe like 50, 60, 70,000 like probably on the high end if you're a mini tour pro and you're spending I mean probably at least half.
One thing I've been thinking about quite a bit like the last few days is this like 80-20 rule. 80%, 20%. I think it applies in so many aspects in life. Like if you're charging a battery, like it charges to 80%, and then it charges to like that last 20% takes longer because there's like the electrons are trying to find the places to go, right? So like getting to like 80%, like pretty good at pretty much anything, I think is fairly easy, but I think it just gets exponentially harder. Like it's that same sort of like curve as you try to get world class, right? Like let's say world class is 100%, Tiger Woods 100%. I think if you're a scratch golfer, you're good. Like you're pretty good. That's that, but I think that's that like 80%, if that makes sense. Like you can get there. You put some work in, and you don't have to devote your whole life to it, and you can get pretty good at golf. It almost takes that same amount of effort that it took to get to that 80 to get to 100. What aspects in life make sense to go 100? You can't do you can't give everything your full attention, right? So it's like to get in pretty good shape right? It's not super hard. If you can get to 100 too, that's like full bodybuilder status, absolutely yoked, like 220 pounds, just like 4% body fat, like that's doable too. But like you better devote your life to it. You better that's the thing you're locked in on, So that's something I've been thinking about a lot, and what I feel like it kind of applies here. It's like I think that the scratch golf is like the 80%, like it's doable. It's a challenge, but it's doable, and then it takes like that same amount of effort to get that last 20.
Go from a 40 to a 30 handicap is really not that hard. But
Yeah,
every stroke you get better in your handicap, it gets that much harder, right?
yeah,
And like
yeah.
difference between like a +2 and a +6, like that's a huge difference. A lot of people, and like this would be kind of a cool thing to debate, is like what percentage of your golf success or your golf like is mental? Like what percentage do you think it is? I think it's an interesting debate because a lot of people say it's like, oh, like mental is everything. Like your mentality is everything. And like I don't think
I
it's
think it
everything.
is. I think it is because like if you really break it down, like what is mental? It's like, well, that's if you break it down to like absolutely base level, it's like, where am I deciding to hit this shot? And if I'm like where do I what target am I picking? So if it's like, if I'm not picking any targets, I'm not using my mental at all, I couldn't play golf. So like,
There's a lot of 30 handicaps who know where to hit the ball. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah,
Like
but if they didn't know where to hit the ball, then they'd be even more lost. It's my point. Like it's like a prerequisite. Take your brain out of your head and say, okay, well, there's just like a physical body. Like that's not going to do anything without some sort of like mental trigger anyway. So it's like, I guess it depends on how you want to define mental, but it's like I think it's like a prerequisite. I think it's
I
necessary.
understand the point you're trying to make, but like let's do a little thought experiment here.
Okay,
So
okay.
so let's think about this. Like I'll put it this way, and I think you'll agree with me. Do you think that shooting a basketball is the same way, all mental?
I think it's a prerequisite. I think it's like not possible without it, but I don't think it's like obviously there's a physical act that takes place, and but yeah, I guess
No,
that's what I mean. So
the point I'm trying to make is this: it's like there's a lot of people who work really hard and do the targets and do all the things they should be doing, but their technical swing is not allowing it to be the best it should be. Like, so it's like this. Let's just say I
yeah,
spent my
that's
whole
fair.
life, which you obviously agree with. You're a golf coach. You agree with that. But like the idea would be like, let's just say I spent my whole life devoting every waking moment of my life to shooting a basketball one handed. And I got really good at it. It was my only thing. I got one handed. I'm so good at it. Like it's my everything I do, right? And I got pretty good, right? But that doesn't mean that I'll be as good as Steph Curry because I'm one handed. I'm literally one hand tied behind my back, right? Like you could spend all of your waking moments trying to do this, but like if you're not doing it, or like maybe if you like did it backwards, like imagine you did it backwards and you're shooting basketballs and you spent every waking moment at it, and like you were really good at it, right? Like, but the problem is really good at backwards shooting in basketball might only be 60%. When if you use both hands and you focus on the target instead of turning around, you can get to 95. And it's like
Right.
there's a lot. You could spend all of your mental energy doing it right, but if you're not doing it in the most efficient possible way, in the best way, then you're never going to reach your potential. Do you know what I mean?
I guess I think the disconnect is like how you would define what mental was. If you mean just like the like decisions, if you mean like how you react to stuff only, then yeah, I don't think it's as important. Because yeah, like you said, you could be completely held back. Like if try to play golf one handed.
I still don't think it's like all that. I think that the difference is the knowledge of understanding how to do things better. And I think that that really makes a big difference. Like, there's so many people out there who just say, like, oh, like, golf is like, it's all mental. You have to, like, if you're playing bad, it's all because your mentality is bad. Like, you might have a bad mental game. Like, it might be bad. Like, you might have to fix that for sure. But there's at the same time, usually there's a technical thing going on that causes the bad mentality. Like hypothetically, like if you hit the ball good perfect every day or good every day, like you probably would never be that upset, right? So it's like usually the guys who actually hit like have the worst mental games are sometimes the best players because they always hit the ball so well. So if you always hit the ball so well every day, and all of a sudden you don't, you start losing it because you're like, I hit the ball good every day, like it's part of your identity, and then all of a sudden you don't, right? And I guess it's kind of a roundabout way of saying that the mentality is very important, but it's not everything.
Okay.
I think we agree a lot more than you think.
Okay.
I
Okay.
because I agree with you. Like obviously, it needs to be at a certain level, right? If you're trying to play the PGA Tour, you can't lose 10 strokes around play. Like you're never going to be good enough, right? But like
Mhm.
there are guys on tour that maybe lose 1.5 or 2 around putting. Like
Mhm.
it can be a weakness. It's the same thing as golf. Like you're never if your strokes gained mentally is like, or even it could be course management, it could be mentality, it could be confidence, it could
Okay.
also if it's a -10, you're never gonna make it, right? Like you're
Mhm.
never gonna have a chance. But you could still be at a -2 and make it as long as the other parts of your game are good. Like if you hit the ball good every day, then you're never gonna lose it that much. You know what I mean? Does that make
I think
sense?
that's a good way. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. It's just like an attribute amongst
Exactly. And I think
other
that the
skills.
1 out of 5 is probably a good uh, a good way to think about it. A lot of people would say it's like mental game and golf, or like golf swing. And those are
No,
the two.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Because I think that's a really good way to think about it. Because like you could say these same things that they're like a prerequisite for the other. It's like what's more important, like irons or driver. It's like well,
Yeah.
you can't have one without the other. Like you need them both to play. You need to have like you can't just remove irons from the game. You know, like it's you need to have them.
Right.
It's a prerequisite to play.
Totally.
Um, so
But
yeah, I think I like that. Like
yeah,
20%, like 1 out of 5. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's somewhere in there. But it's hard, like you said, it's hard to give it a because it is a prerequisite. So it's hard to give it a number like that. But I think that's roughly about what it would be. I would say, and it's not really like a scientific way of thinking about it, but
Yeah, you guys can roast us in the comments.
I figured this out is because I used to get really upset, like, and I still do sometimes, and it's the biggest thing for me to work on, and it's one of the many reasons I'm not playing on TV probably. But I just when I hit a bad shot, I spend too much time thinking about it, and I figured this out. I realized I was like, what am I doing when I'm doing that? And the reason why I'm thinking about it is mostly because I'm trying to learn from it, and that's kind of the way I am in general. Is whenever I do things in my life, I'm trying to learn from it. So when I hit a bad shot, I'm trying to analyze it and trying to learn what I did wrong, and I'm trying to learn what I could have done differently. And to some degree, that's good, but then you can start to go to a level where it's too much. If you're still thinking about that for too long, it's a problem, right? So that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest things that I said to myself is I would say, okay, is there anything I can learn from this? And then once I did that, then I would forget. That's the thing for me because
I like
that's the hard balance in golf. It's like you do have to learn from your mistakes. Like you can't forget about your mistakes completely because you have to learn from them, right? Like if
yeah.
you're on the fifth hole, like let's just say you play holes 1 through 5, and you hit the ball and the greens like you hit the ball landed by the pin and it bounces over the green 30 feet, like because the green's just super firm, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to adjust to that. You have to think about that and say, okay, my last shot, it landed close by the pin and it rolled way too much. The greens are really firm today. I have to learn from that. I have to adjust. But there's a difference between being, oh man, I can't believe I did that, and saying to yourself, wait a second, that happened in the first 4 holes. Hole 5, I'm going to do something different. It shouldn't take you that long, right? But like that, that was not the biggest problem. Like, like it was like my strokes gained like mental was probably a -2 or 3, but my
Mhm.
strokes gained driving was -6 because I was hitting them. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, the mental part is not good, but like also the driving part is like I got to fix some stuff in my swing, and then once you fix some stuff in your swing, it becomes a lot easier. That's the only, and I have a personal. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves is like people just act like, and it's actually kind of funny is I actually noticed this is they're trying to use it as a way of almost feeling better about themselves because they feel like they're better mentally than you. So it's like because they think they're doing something so special mentally that you're not
Mhm.
doing, which is it's kind of funny. I don't get in like kind of a rabbit hole here, but like
No, I think there's something to that.
good players would tell me like, "Oh man, it's just all mental," because they think that they have like this incredible mindset. But really, if you look at their swing, you'd be like, "This swing is perfect. You're gonna hit a bad shot."
Like, the other day, I took some videos indoors. My swing was looking great, like probably the best it's looked in a while. And I sent to one of my buddies, and I'm like crazy how I could swing like this indoors, uh, and then go out on the course and shoot 80. You know, I said it like as a joke, but and he replies with like, it was never the swing. I was like, yeah, it was. You know, like the swing is clearly so much better now than it was like 2 3 years ago. You know, and
He
like,
wants to make it simple. He wants to make it be like, "Oh, you just sort of fix your mental game. You'd be perfect." There was that clip. And this is the cool thing is that there's that clip of Wesley Bryan and Bryson DeChambeau I saw on TikTok, and
oh,
like, and
I think I
George
never
was like, yeah, and George was like, he was like, because Wesley I guess was struggling with this game, and he was like, what would be the biggest piece of advice, like non golf swing, just mentally that you think Wesley needs to make for him to get better? And Bryson was like, it's all golf swing. It's like it's all swing.
yeah,
Like, and I really do think that like that's that's understated how important it is, right? I mean, that's the reason why we have jobs, right? I mean, is
yeah,
it's not just all mental. It's there's a lot of swing. I forgot. I think it's Chris Coleman who says the ball doesn't care what you're thinking. Like the ball does not care. Like if you like, there's a lot of. I feel the last year thing too is when people would always tell me that it was all like a mental thing. I would always think to myself, I'm like, well, my mental game was awful when I was a kid, and then I was still playing well. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening. I think hopefully you guys can take a couple things away from this, and it's kind of a cool discussion. Talk about kind of covered a bunch of different things. So if you guys are listening, Justin Seymour Golf on Instagram and TikTok. If you guys want to find me, Honza, go ahead, plug yours.
yeah. You can follow me on Instagram. I just deleted it off my phone because I need to focus. And but follow me there anyway, and follow my YouTube at Hansa Golfs as well.
Sounds good. See you guys.